Hello and welcome to Tré TV. So honored and excited to have you here. This is our absolute first episode. It is packed with wonderful information. I'm so excited to have you here. We have incredible hosts, incredible guests. This is not just a vision of mine. This is our vision together. As you know, my name is Stephanie Coleman, founder of Trè Magazine, which is a community voice. It is your voice. It is born in Third Ward, Texas, the Tré, for those who are not familiar with that. But it has grown and expanded because of your viewership, your readership, your comments, your thoughtfulness. We have all survived this pandemic together, and we have come out on the other side with greater resilience and greater capacity than I think any of us knew possible. So please join us as we have phenomenal hosts who are telling you things that you said you wanted to know, from Dawn Malone with the People's Politics and Marlene McNeese with her health section. We close out the show with Barry Barnes as he teaches you about life, style, all of that together. Sit back, enjoy, comment, not just for social media for us, but for yourself. If there's something else that we can provide for you, using the Tré as a vehicle for your voice to make your life, your world, your community better for today and for generations to come, feel free to let us know. Thanks again. Enjoy the show.
I'm a part of the Prenatal Care Club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com. My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 1.9% APR for 60 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac with the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection with standard third-row seating for just $459 a month for 39-month lease with only $1 down. Or purchase and receive 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $2,500 bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway. Test drive the new 2021 Escalade today at Ron Carter Cadillac.
Smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
Good day, good people. This is The People's Politics with Dawn Malone. I am your host, Dawn. You are the people, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. This is your resource for real news that matters, for the inside information on how to advocate for what you want to see in and around your community, and just a place where we can have a dialogue about how government should be working for you. So I hope that that's your vibe. If that's not your vibe, you should stick around, because the things that we're talking about do pertain to you and are rather important to all of our day-to-day lives. So today I am so excited to be joined by Stephanie Coleman. Stephanie is the publisher of the Trè Magazine and also the principal and CEO of Neutral Gray. Stephanie, thank you for joining me in studio today.
Thank you for having me,
This is my applause for you.
I'm glad that that's my courtesy.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. 2020 and really rolling into 2021. a lot of newness all around between the new experiences for all of us, right? Between the pandemic, the obvious increased attention to social injustice and ways to advocate around that. Tell me specifically, being in your industry, how have you managed and what rapid shifts have you seen as it relates to what Tré Media produces?
You know, it's really interesting. I'm really glad to be here because this is one of those shifts, to be able to have more meaningful, more timely conversations about topics and allowing more voices to have those conversations. So, you know, they say pivot, they say all this discussion, but when you're in the middle of it, I think for all of us, when we were in the middle of it, you don't quite know what that meant. So pivot with vocabulary that you don't have and that you hadn't experienced. So I'm really fortunate to have amazing people. They say, you know, who you surround yourself makes a difference. And I think the pandemic allowed me to filter and say, really, who are those people that are kindred spirits? Not about doing media, but doing advocacy, doing meaningful work, really talking about what's good for community, sharing our insights and resources. And here we are in this conversation. It's allowed me to produce a better book. We have a new magazine that's out. This is a total different format that really elevates the conversation. We have the TV, we have amazing help with Adriana and other groups that are doing social media, plus the extraordinary advocates and hosts that we have. So it's been an interesting pivot for COVID. I think it allowed the world to slow down enough for the entrepreneur in all of us to catch up. And I hope that people come out of it with renewed excitement.
And renewed energy.
And renewed energy.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And so you mentioned something that I want to kind of elaborate on, and that's the advocacy piece. In your line of work, did you find that you are also becoming teacher? Because one thing that I see, right, is that with what's been happening with the pandemic and with social justice initiatives, those things have almost become branded by major corporation, everyone. We're not going to say major, anybody. And how have you, being that, you know, Tré is truly committed to being a voice for community, how have you had to be, I assume, an educator?
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. I think in order to educate, you have to be a student. And I think more humbly, I've been able to really listen to other people's experiences and hoping, which is why we say, you know, comment, tell us the stories, let us stay grounded. So we're not chasing data and numbers and clicks and likes alone, but we're actually in authentic relationships with you and with each person who sends us a note, everyone who opens the book, that they can engage and make us better. I don't want to become a part of a advocacy trend. I think that's the total opposite of what Tré strives to be. We want to be authentic about transformation. The tagline for that kind of concept is the evolution of the revolution, that we don't want
Put it on a t-shirt.
You know, there's another level to do this, and it's not just about exploiting that energy that's really trying to do well, burning it out, and then moving on to a new trend. I think corporations, individuals need to be very mindful, and I would hope that our viewers and listeners and your show keeps us honest and calls us on it when we're not being honest, so that we can really make change for future generations.
Yeah, and I will say this, you know, the energy around what we're going to call it advocacy right now, it's changed, one, because of technology. And what I have always appreciated about you and the work you do and Tré is that you all are really bridging the gap between the old and the new. But for those who don't know, talk, especially if we're thinking the Tré, Third Ward. One, you know, there's a need for those to blend together well, but some are more effective than others. How do you see that continuing to play out in terms of, you know, I'm a millennial technically, so sometimes my advocacy is on the Cash App or whatever it is. And so, or it's, you know, I promoted, I tweeted, I gave. But there's this other level that you're familiar with too. How are we going to bridge those gaps?
Well, I think if everyone does their lane and has a conversation with others about their expertise, and we're open. There's no other way to do this if you're not open. If you meet a group that's like, oh, those millennials, you You know
I'm
what
an
I
old
mean?
millennial. Let's clarify that, because I'm it's like
No,
right there.
But
Yeah.
even still, it's the same group that was told, oh, those hippies and oh, those this, and we end up spending more time dividing our efforts based on when we were born rather than uniting our efforts based on like common values. And I think we just have to sort of get out of that. I'm in this store and I saw a young lady. I was like, how did you do that thing? I felt like an elder, like,
the tap.
how did you tap to pay? But you have to keep evolving. It's not wrong for evolution to happen. It's just unfamiliar. So if advocacy can happen, I mean, I'm in awe when I see from a media point of view, a total invisible force through social media can bring 10,000 kids together with a common mission. Politicians have billboards, banners, there's posters, there's campaigns, and we can't get 50 people at a rally, let alone on the same mission. Those students had voice and force through technology. So I think the bridging becomes individual openness. And whether you want to bridge or not, the world is evolving. It's an organic world, it's a diverse world. You don't want to be the one sort of on the porch saying, what are all these different people doing here, right?
Yeah. I'm here for the community meeting. You know, and it's online now. It's going to be online.
Right.
Probably forever. Not forever, but for some time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, but it's also about engaging those people, engaging both groups. And something that you said is what I feel like people's politics is really about, is getting people together for one cause, to advocate for one thing. And whatever that means for you, that's what it means.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Magazine was just relaunched.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes.
And so what are some of the stories that you're really most excited about that really will resonate with community in terms of engaging them?
Well, I think the most important first part, so I'll sort of flow through the book, is that it starts with politics, which is why I'm excited to have you and be a part of this show and experience it, because that's at the core of how our lives function. Be it current politics, we do this nice hybrid, ideally, of how we got here and ways things went wrong, whether it's the Tulsa race riots, which really was a massacre, if we really talk about what happened. If we talk about Vietnam, we have an amazing Vietnam vet who's really apologizing for what that journey is and opens up the door that it's never too late to do right by your own hurt and what you might have done to someone else, that apology goes into reparations, that conversation goes into apologizing to yourself for having extra sweets for COVID and having a health section. And we talk about that. I understand that there's rightful reservations around the vaccine. So let's talk about why those fears are there. And then let's talk about all the amazing things that people of color have done for their own health. The Black Panther Party and groups before that. And we can get better if we have the conversation. So the magazine is eclectic in that way. And of course, we end with lifestyle, culture, all the amazing things our community has done to impact the world. It's a diverse publication, but it really speaks to the African-American voice and experience.
Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us. I look forward to all the things the magazine and Tré has to offer. So appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So everyone, please stay tuned. We have Healthline with Marlene coming up, and Life and Style with Barry Barnes.
I'm a part of the prenatal care club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com. My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
Move up. up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month. Both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 1.9% APR for 60 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac with the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection with standard third row seating for just $459 a month for 39-month lease with only $1 down. Or purchase and receive 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $2,500 bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway. Test drive the new 2021 Escalade today at Ron Carter Cadillac.
Smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Have you heard about Hero Go TV offering free TV?
Welcome to Healthline with Marlene McNeese, your lifeline to improve your health. Today's topic, we want to discuss the intersection of chronic and infectious diseases, a devastating duo for minority communities. The month of June serves as National Awareness Month for many health issues, but none that reach such devastating consequences for African Americans and other minority communities. Chronic diseases such as hypertension and diabetes have been especially exacerbated by COVID-19. For our communities, these chronic conditions often go underdiagnosed, undertreated, or not specifically treated for our needs, or it may go underaddressed due to our own lifestyle and behavior. But it is my pleasure today to actually welcome to the show Dr. Charlene Flash, President and CEO of Avenue 360 Health and Wellness. Thank you again for joining us, Dr. Charlene.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You know, you and I first met when you had a clinical faculty position at Baylor College of Medicine. I believe you're still there.
Yes, I am.
And serving as the assistant director for infectious disease. And so you've done many innovative and creative practice models in clinical care programs for people, and you have done that with HIV when you were at Harris Health System, so our connection goes way back to that. But you've since gone on to share all of your wealth of experiences and expertise here locally in a variety of positions, but you've also done that nationally. So in some ways, you've become our top doc, a real expert for HIV and infectious diseases.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us, Charlene, share with us really what drew you? What made you want to go into this kind of work and serve communities the way you have?
Oh, you know, it's interesting. My family's from the Caribbean. I'm a first-generation American. And when my parents came to the United States, they would tell us, well, in the United States, you can be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, but you need to choose something where you're going to be able to make positive change and be well respected.
Yeah.
My mother was a nurse's aide and my father was an attorney, and for many years I wanted to get a JD-MD. That was the kind of child I was. And I wanted to develop health programs for underserved communities. Yeah. As I grew, I was really impacted though by two things. One, cancer, and the other, the HIV epidemic. I can remember a young woman who was a friend of my mother's, who all of a sudden passed away seemingly for no reason, leaving two children. Yeah. And us hearing the rumor mill, talking about what she died from.
That's right.
And ultimately we found out that she had died from AIDS. And so as I reflected on what I wanted to do with my life, I said, listen, I'm either going to end AIDS or cure cancer.
Okay.
So as things moved along, I chose AIDS.
Yeah.
And I wanted to really work in communities and not just bring the answer to the community, but to have the community be a part of that answer. So I went on to get my medical degree, to get training in adult and pediatric care, to get training in adult infectious disease and a master's in public health, really always with my eye on that prize of helping marginalized communities and doing all that I could to end the HIV epidemic.
And we're so grateful that you've chosen to lend your talents and gifts. I mean, what kid wants to do both a JD and MD? So quite ambitious in wanting to help people and help communities. It sounds as though that's been your path.
Oh yes, crazy enough to dream big.
So glad you did. But, you know, talking about cancer and HIV and all of these conditions, especially as we're talking about this era of COVID-19, for our communities, for minority communities, these things are just devastating when you sort of pile on condition after condition. What can you share with us that you've seen in terms of your patients' response and their complications, if you will, related to trying to combat multitude of issues?
Oh, it's just an excellent question. You know, our communities have really suffered from being marginalized and having extreme health disparities, and COVID just shone a light on that, right? So many people didn't come to the doctor because they were afraid to, understandably. And then even as things opened up, there was still some hesitancy. If I go there, are they going to try to force me to get a vaccine? Or if I go to the doctor, are they going to be upset because I haven't been doing what I've supposed to have been doing over this last year while I'm home? I'm doing everything from home. And so what we're seeing is that people with diabetes, high blood pressure, all types of chronic diseases, that they're coming to us with more advanced disease than prior to the epidemic because they haven't been able to get the care that they needed. The other things that we're seeing is that there are just profound mental health issues in the community. We're not meant to all be hidden behind masks and to be separated from each other. We are by definition community. And so there has been a profound impact on the community in terms of increased mental health challenges, increased substance abuse challenges, increased domestic violence. So all of those things also impact people's full health.
Yeah. And I think people were surprised about some of that, right? In the era of COVID-19, that, you know, these issues also were exacerbated by folks being in situations that were brand new for all of us, you know, and being forced to have abnormal social situations, if you will. I don't think we're meant to be in our homes for that extended period of time. And so tell me more about why healthcare organizations like Avenue 360, you know, being a federally qualified health center, what makes you different and more unique to help communities respond to these issues you address?
That's a wonderful question. So at present, I'm the president and CEO of Avenue 360 Health and Wellness. We have 6 primary care locations, but there are lots of places you can get primary care. What makes places like Avenue 360 special is that we really recognize that health isn't just about what happens behind the exam room door with the clinician, right? That's only 20%, 25%. That there are so many other factors that impact whether or not someone feels well and has a sense of well-being, mental well-being, social well-being, as well as physical well-being. And it's not just the absence of disease, it's feeling healthy. And so with that in mind, we address things like food insecurity, housing instability. We have an AIDS hospice, a dental program, an adult day activities program. These things are focused on addressing not just having people have normal blood pressures and well-controlled diabetes, but also having sound mental health, having a sense of community, having community health workers and case managers there to support you and to help you with other needs that might arise, such as having affordable medication that you can access. So FQHCs are an excellent place to receive care because they don't just think about you as a diagnosis. They think about you as a part of the community and what's your context and how can they help.
And hopefully for members who may have engaged Avenue 360 before or have never engaged with you all,
really hear you and understand the wealth of services and programs that you guys offer. The idea that it sounds as though you have a holistic approach to health and wellness. And, you know, that's what's critical, because so many of our communities just won't reach out and find what resources exist. You know, we sit in a state where we're mostly uninsured. We haven't yet expanded Medicaid. So the idea that people believe that, you know, when I get sick enough, I'll go to the emergency room. But they can do more than that. There can be preventative actions that can be taken in an affordable place all over the community. Absolutely. So share with us a little more about how people can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you mentioned that I just want to emphasize is that we care for people and provide them with excellent care regardless of their ability to pay.
That's right.
So you could have insurance, you could have Medicaid, Medicare, and you could have nothing.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of you either way on a tiered system to make sure that finance isn't the barrier to getting care.
Mm-hmm.
And in a place like Texas, that is particularly important, as we have the highest rate of uninsured in the country.
Absolutely.
Right? So, in order for people to access care, they can just call us up or go on our website and request an appointment. And you can either have an in-person appointment or a virtual appointment.
Yes.
And our doctors, dentists, therapists, psychiatrists, OBGYNs will be happy to care for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. This is, I think, very valuable information for communities to hear. And thank you again for your time and showing up today and coming out and just having a chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much, Marlene.
Yes, you're welcome. So thank you. And next up, we have Life in Style with Barry Barnes. And stay tuned after the break, because you really do not want to miss this.
I'm a part of the Prenatal Care Club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com. My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 1.9% APR for 60 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac with the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection with standard 3rd row seating for just $459 a month for 39-month lease with only $1 down. Or purchase and receive 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $2,500 bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway. Test drive the new 2021 Escalade today at Ron Carter Cadillac.
Smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Have you heard about Hero Go TV offering free TV?
Welcome to Life.Style. Isn't that something? It's an exciting spin on beauty and life. And we're going to cover a lot of that today. My name is Barry Barnes. Get into it. Get it with me. Let's say it again a little slower. Barry Barnes. I love that name. It's everything. For the next couple of minutes, I'm going to take you on a journey because I'm your host when it comes to what? What did you say? You said Life.Style, didn't you? That's good stuff. We have a really super big show today. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk about the top 10 oldest fashion houses, and we're going to talk about that so you can understand what fashion is really about. Because what I want to make sure that you get from me every week is I'm not just fashion. I'm 100% beauty. Check the bug. Okay. It's all about this for you and me. Okay. And my outfit too. So we're going to talk about stuff like that. We're going to talk about what is the FHCM. Now, that's going to be tricky, okay? Because you're looking at me saying, what is that? I'm going to teach you. I'm going to give you some tools. We're going to have some fun. We're going to know fashion. We're going to know life.com. Okay, so get with that. We're going to talk about what governs fashion, how it gets to where it is, and all those wonderful things. But the real treat for today's shoot, isn't that something? Fashion, bottle, me, shoot, huh? Okay, today's show is all about Toni Whitaker. She's our local designer here in Houston who is amazing. And out of her crazy busy schedule, she found time for you and I to hang out with her. So our second part today, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be amazing. Yes. Toni Whitaker herself is here with me. And I called and she said, I'll do it. Don't you just love it? Okay, so let's get down to it. All right, we want to talk about fashion and the fashion houses. And a fashion house, everyone, just for those who don't know, but I know all my fashionistas out there know what I'm talking about, is where these gorgeous garments, as you see my friend behind me showing you, where they come from. And they come from a fashion house in Paris. Okay, and there are fashion houses all over the place. So let's not get confused. It's just not Paris, but they are number one. They are so number one, they have a FHCM. Who knew, right? I know I'm still confused, but clear, and so will you be. Because the Federation, which that stands for, is the French Federation of Fashion. Their whole job is to get you together and make sure that we understand why we have Fashion Week, when it is, how it is, what time of the year it is, and who gets selected. Okay, so the deal on that is we're going to talk about those houses real quick. And we're going to go with a quick countdown from 1 to 10, starting at 10, which would be Givenchy, which started in 1952. Okay, and they're one of the oldest and most fabulous fashion houses, as you do know. And some of you can see it on the screen. And that's your test today, by the way. I need you to match the designer to what you see. Tricky, huh? And don't get caught up on the GGs for Gucci. Don't do that. That's that tacky, okay? Number 9 is Dior, created in 1946. And they started with a very simple design on leather goods. Can you believe it? And most people think that these houses were designed to do just fashion. But a lot of them started with horse stuff. Like they did leather goods and saddles and stuff like that, like crazy stuff that you would never think that, what are they doing that for? But they really are fashion houses. Number 8, Nina Ricci, okay? 1932. That's an older house and still going strong. And I love them for it. They're so fabulous. In 1925, Fendi came aboard. Okay, yeah, and they just don't do FF on bags. They were known for their fashion and their tea dresses at one time. So please understand, these houses went back to Maria Antoinette, if you will. So fashion goes that far back, believe it or not. Number 6 would be, you said it, Gucci. And Gucci was created by 2 brothers, by the way, just in case you didn't know that. And that was 1946. And in 1943, one of the brothers personally started to manage the company and took it from where it was to where it is today. And everybody loves Gucci. Number 5 would be Prada. Number 4 would be Chanel, Coco Chanel, who started with hats. Number 3 would be Burberry, and all of you guys get crazy with that, but they started in England, and that was a whole different game, and they came on through with plaids. That was their big number. Number 2 would be Louis Vuitton, who started with saddles. They didn't start with fashion. They started with bags and saddles. Can you believe it? A bag and a saddle. But number 1, created in 1837, would be what? 2, 3. Can't guess, can you? It would be Hermes. They would be the original, oldest fashion house in Paris. That's fashion for you. I wanted you to have a little something this time so we understand a little bit more, because our next guest coming up is nothing but fashion. She's the queen to me for Houston when it comes to local designs and national. So I'm very, very, very happy to bring Toni with me today. She's going to really enlighten us on a couple of things. I'm very excited about it. But what I want you to get into it. We've got a whole second half to come to you. I'm excited about where we're at right now because it's a lot of fun. And we got a little knowledge today, right? You know a little bit. You know what FHCM is all about. It's the federation that governs fashion. And they really govern haute couture. Okay, that's the big part of fashion. That's not ready to wear. That's up here. Those girls are sitting around going like this. Ain't that something? With a needle and thread. Huh? Who knew? Okay, I didn't. Okay, but I know now. And guess what? So do you. So listen, get up, get to the refrigerator, get that drink, diet, come on back and catch the second part. I can't wait. And Toni's going to be here with me when we return. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your break. Come on back. See you later.
I'm a part of the Prenatal Care Club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com. My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month. Both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 1.9% APR for 60 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac with the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection with standard 3rd row seating for just $459 a month for 39-month lease with only $1 down. Or purchase and receive 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $2,500 bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway. Test drive the new 2021 Escalade today at Ron Carter Cadillac.
Smarter when you shop Ron Carter. Ron Carter Cadillac.com.
Have you heard about Hero Go TV offering free TV?
And welcome back. I'm so glad you made it back from the refrigerator. I'm so glad to have you in the studio with me today is the illustrious Toni Whitaker, who has had her designs in Essence Magazine, Black Enterprise. She toured with Ebony Fashion Fair, was named Houston's Chronicle Ultimate Fashion Designer in 2004, has dressed many Houstonians, many, not one or two, many, especially around that social group, with several of them honorees receiving the best dressed list, making that list. I've never made it because I never bought anything from Toni, but I'm working on it, okay? I am. She is amazing. She's done work with the Houston Ebony Opera Guild. I mean, she's just everything. So I'd like y'all to just thank Toni for being here. She came on through to hang out with me, and I'm happy. Toni, what's going on for you in the fashion world today?
Well, today, not a lot. I'm sort of semi-retired and going through the pandemic and Harvey and things like that. Things sort of came to a halt. So I'm not really doing a lot right now, but I'm gearing back up to do some pretty interesting and fun things.
Well, and let me say this to you, to give you credit back. No matter how long you're gone sometime, you have made a mark for yourself that you're here to stay. Toni Whitaker designs are here forever. You can go away 1,000,000 years and it will still be a Toni Whitaker original. So I really wanted you on the show because one, we wanted to cover the area around high fashion, Paris, the whole 9 yards. But what I wanted to talk about, which I have been so amazed from the beginning, is I want the inside on your white collection. I am so amazed with that I wanted you to give me the full 411 on how that came to be, what is that about, what does that look like, what does that feel like for Toni Whitaker?
Well, primarily I always started out with custom designing. It was really more cottage industry. And then when things started slowing down and I closed my shop because my mom became ill, my launch was more ready to wear. And so since I did not have the physical location, I wanted to do something that could be produced without the client having to be there. And I've always loved working with staple fabrics, linen fabrics, cottons, organzas. And I love to build the design in the actual garment as opposed to the garment being mostly printed fabrics. It's about the fabric. I love to work with the beauty of the details within the fabric. And that shows so well when you're working with lightweight fabrics and gauzes.
And all your fabrics, so in the years that I've seen all your shows, one of the things that I love the most is that everything on the runway always moves so fluently and effortlessly. I love that. How do you go from doing wonderful prints and textiles to doing just white?
Well, the white was really more from the standpoint of a collection. When you want to see it stroll across the runway, it was more the uniformity. But everything was done in white, but there were lots of different textures. Cut fabrics, there was lots of pleating, then there was a lot of embroidery that I popped it with color. But it was fluid. It's just like fabric in motion. And I think I get a lot of that from just my love of African textiles and the use of white gauze in many of the African female designs.
Yeah, and I love, so have you ever done men, or is that just something you just never got into?
Well, I have done a few items for men. Lloyd Geit, he wore one of my first linen pieces. And but I typically like dealing with the female body, the S curve of the female body. I like for women to look beautiful and look like women, and I like for the fabrics and the garments to dance.
Okay, I love that. So let me ask this question real quick. In that, Toni, what's your take on the plus size industry? Are you there? Are you okay? Is a larger size garment different from ready to wear? What does that mean to you?
Well, my take on it now, since I am plus size, is a little bit different, but I sometimes feel that part of the industry is really lacking. you tend to find garments that are more muumuu style. They're not really flattering to a fuller figured female.
Correct.
And it is a very hard thing to do, you know, because when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we always want to feel and seem beautiful. And that's sometimes hard if you feel like maybe the stomach is too much, the boobs are too much, the butt is too much.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
And so I think it takes a special designer who really knows how to work with that particular body type. I don't have a lot of fuller figure clients. I don't typically design much for the fuller figured person. And that's just been my training and my background.
Correct.
I don't know that I would do them justice all the time, you know, because I do like those full, fluid, flowing fabrics. And it's a special discipline, just like with working with menswear.
There it is. And that's a hard piece, I understand. So in the green room earlier, we talked about, you know, you're doing more other things. What are the other things for Toni Whitaker?
I still love costuming, theater and stage. And I'm working with a friend, Ron Jones. We're getting ready to bring Wig Out to Houston at some point, which is sort of a spin-off, it's not a spin-off because it's an old show, but this whole take on pose and bringing in that whole genre. And I've just been researching the fabrics, the houses, and I'm just waiting forward for that to happen.
That sounds exciting. And I see that research for you is a big thing.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you have to start with something. You need a foundation. You can't just say, I'm going to do this, do this, do this. Just like you're talking about the fashion houses, you need to go back in history and see where it all came from. You know, you have to study the city, the life,
Correct.
the street styles,
Correct.
everything. You can't just say, I'm going to do this. And it also has to translate to an audience. Different from when a woman just wears a dress and walks into a room. This has got to say, wow, it has to tell a story, and it all has to work together. It's not like 50 different women in a room. It's one show. Everything has to work together and be cohesive.
Correct. And you've done a lot of costumes. That was some of your foundation in getting into the design world. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, for me, costuming allowed me to push the envelope. And I've had people say, Toni, you always say that. But it's true. You get to do things that are flamboyant, elaborate, a little overdone. But when it came time to designing for that individual, I could take all of those extremes and pull it back in and come up with something that was edgy and fun and exciting. And when you think about a costume, or particularly on theater, when somebody is looking at that piece from 350 feet away, it has to make an impact.
Correct. Correct.
And it's different than me sitting here with you and saying, oh, okay, you know, this is what it looks like. But take that same storyline and pull it back.
I love
and
that.
then it's ready for retail or ready for that private client.
So tell me, what is the perfect next gig for designer Toni Whitaker? What would be the ultimate for you to say, okay, and that's it, and I'm done? What would that be?
Oh, wow. Hard question. I don't want to have a store again. Those days are definitely over. I've looked at where my shop used to be, and I don't like the feel anymore. I think that I would love to do a movie, you know, be a Ruth Carter, something where it's really mainstream. I think that would be the ultimate. But once again, that's a different discipline. You know, from just studying fashion design to stage design, it's very different.
To motion movies.
Exactly.
Right, so it's all.
But I think that would be the epitome for me.
That sounds, it would be the epitome for me too, girl. Especially when you give me that phone call and say, come and work with me on the next big movie. That is amazing. So how does somebody get to Toni Whitaker if they need a designer?
I really don't do a lot of personal designing anymore. I have those favorite clients that I've always worked with, Anita Smith and Barbara Seymour, Cheryl Crusoe. They know how to get to me.
Okay, I
You know
got
what I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah.
I'm not out there really soliciting clients. Very difficult without a shop, you know, and trying to do fittings and that sort of thing. I say follow me on Facebook, on Instagram. If you like my work, you can reach out to me, but I really want it to be more from a ready-to-wear standpoint. I don't want deadlines and all of that stuff.
No,
I don't want to do that anymore. Really, I don't.
Girl, what's the world going to do without a Toni Whitaker original? I don't know what.
Well, I've been out there for a long time, so if you waited 35 years to get one, I think your time may be up.
And guess what? In saying that, our time is up. And what a great time I had today. We talked about fashion. We talked about Paris. We talked about a fantastic designer who I think is amazing and will always be that. And it's always a pleasure being able to bring to you stuff that's right in front of you. Toni's here in Houston. That makes it so fantastic. And to know that we have somebody, an icon of her status, hanging out with me today. So I'm so honored and so appreciative. Well, that's my show for today, and I'm hoping that you got a little something from it. I did. I got to hang out with a good friend and a wonderful designer, and more importantly, I got to hang out with you. So look forward to seeing you next week. I'm gonna have a fresh new concept for you, ready to go with lifestyle. I think you're gonna enjoy it, and thank you for continuing to support us.
Thank you, I had a great time.
Thank you, Toni. I loved you being here. That was amazing. Thank you for everything that you bring to the table. And I also want to say thanks to Mark Harvey, because without him, none of us are beautiful. So thank you so much, Mark. You've always known how to come through for me, and I appreciate that so much. See you guys next week.